Welcome to the offensive. We're here to finally celebrate the Chicago Bears have a coaching tree. Okay, it's one little leaf, and it's the first time in 4 decades. But hey, we finally got a coach pilfered off of our squad, going to the Ravens, make Lamar Jackson a quality quarterback. It's a beautiful time to be alive. People actually want stuff from the Bears. How's it going in Packerland, guys?
It's good, dude. It's good. And like, just to be a Packer fan, yeah, you won the division and they took like half of our coaching staff and you guys lost one guy. It's like, the Bears losing a coach though, without firing them themselves has only happened a few times in my life. So like, it is kind of a big day. It's a big day.
You lost one coach. We now own also the Miami Dolphins. They just are completely like we're just like this Green Bay Dolphins now.
Can we be honest too?
You own the Dolphins and you own the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I was going to say we're also in Pittsburgh.
I forgot about that one. Thank you.
Everyone's trying to emulate the Packers, so quit stealing our stuff. But hey, it's fine. It's fine. So, all right, we're going to talk about the Bears offseason today. Chief is going to take you guys through it because it's all Bears stuff. So I don't want to desecrate myself by, actually talking about it. So hold on a second. There you go. Okay, Dave, the stage is yours. Tell us what you're thinking about these 5 positions in the offseason.
All right, so the Bears, for the first time in a long time, were actually pretty good on the offensive side of the ball. Stop me if you've heard this one before, sans left tackle. And it's not that we don't have a left tackle. It's just he had that devastating leg injury in the playoff game. And unfortunately, it sounds like he might not be back until the later part of next season, 2026, if at all, because the ruptured Achilles has a 50% chance of coming back. He's young enough to hopefully he can. But right now, we're just going to focus on the positive, how we can shore that up, and then how we want to attract the postseason as far as a little bit of free agency. But I really want to focus more on the draft because right now, Bears fans, we want to think that we're in win now mode, but we don't want to give away the farm to get a Max Crosby. So we'll kind of go over that in the salary cap as well. So right now, as it stands, the Bears are $5.3 million over the cap. We like to say, that's funny money and whatnot. All of our safeties, they're all free agents, so we have to address that. The biggest point that we have there are Kevin Byard. He's 32 years old. Last year, he cost $7.5 million. We think because of his age, that might be a benefit to us. He had 7 turnovers last year, and his leadership is really why we really want to bring him back. Jaquan Brisker, we'd been waiting for years for him to be healthy. He was healthy. He had a great year. But now that he's 26 and done with his rookie contract, he's going to go from less than $2 million to $10 million.
Or more.
Yeah, or more. So that's just going to be a little bit too spicy given our cap situation. So Brisker, we're proud of you. Go off, do amazing stuff. Jonathan Owens, he's 30 years old. I don't think anyone's going to be clamoring for him. So I think he'd be kind of a cheap backup like when we got him off of Green Bay. We like to take Green Bay's droppings and put him on our squad. But Owens did good enough. Part of that might be Al Harris's coaching. And then Gardner Johnson, we got him off the bone pile for 1.1. Maybe we have to give him 2 or 3 million. But you can't have enough depth at safety in the NFL right now, especially in a passing league, especially since I want us to kind of follow the prototype that the Seahawks have of going with the base nickel. So I think if you have 3 good safeties, we already had 2 good corners. We might need a stronger number 2 corner. Stevenson's still a bit of a chucklehead, but at least there's some bones there. And we really got to hit the draft. We got to go after that defensive line because you're not going to sign the DN who's worth anything.
So now that you're not drafting in the top 10 for the first time in a long time, you want to get a D end in the draft around pick 27. That's not as easy as it sounds. Do you expect them to trade up? Do you expect them to maybe kind of do what the Packers do and take like 2 or 3 guys in like the 3rd and the 4th and see if one of them works out for you? What do you think the strategy is there?
I think we're kind of lucking out because right now, one of the things I've heard from a couple of different sources, CBS, PFF, and the NFL Stock Exchange, there's kind of a consensus that this year there's some depth at edge rusher and safety, which is a huge bonus for us. Yeah. So obviously you're going to always want to take the best player, but there's some pretty devastating guys out there who can get in the 2nd and 3rd round to help build around.
Well, the question is, who are the Bears going to take that's the obvious guy below the top guy, like they did with tight end? Everybody goes, boo.
The one that Dave wants. But, that's
whoever Dave wants are going to take the other guy.
in the Ben Johnson offense, maybe he wanted someone a little faster, and Loveland definitely worked out at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, he might be a little bit better at wide receiver, but not as good as a blocker.
But that's the Ben Johnson offense. This is the thing, Dave, that I'm thinking about this offseason is this is all Ryan Poles. Like, this isn't Ben Johnson saying, I need this guy. It's defense that you need. So it's Ryan Poles. Like, do you think he's going to go D tackle first, D line first? Do you think something crazy is going to come out?
I think Ben Johnson knows that he has enough pieces built on his offense to where I think he can go, all right, Dennis, now it's your turn to pick your defense. You get to build around what fits you.
Okay.
And Dennis Allen, he's historically liked to have a bigger defensive line. He wants to be able to rush 4 and, you know, have them get home. So one of the issues that we had is, you know, our rush defense could be improved. And that's why, you know, I've seen a lot of mock drafts where some have us going after a safety. CBS had a safety who can play sideline to sideline, come down into the box, crush people in the rushing game and whatnot. But I really, you know, we went out, we drafted D tackles under Ryan Poles. They haven't worked out. He went out and he got Grady Jarrett off of the Falcons. That Grady's old. He's just not holding up. So if we have a shot at getting the D tackle out of Ohio State, Caden McDonald, who's 6'3", 326 run stuffing D tackle, he had the highest PFF grade versus the run. So he'd be a big, strong anchor there that could help us for years. And then in the second round, you can go out and you can get Zion Young, like that defensive end out of Mizzou, 6'5", 262. That's exactly what our defensive coordinator likes. You know, he wants 6'4", 6'5". He wants edges who are 260, who can hold the run and get the pass rush. So his pass rush grade was 81 per PFF. His run defense grade is 85. Now that's solid. If you can get that in the second round on top of a big, you know, earth moving D tackle, I think that would be a home run. And then we can start to focus on trying to get some of the safeties that are out there. Because it is a pretty solid class when you look at everything.
Yeah, I don't think safety would be a problem, but we're going to obviously do a lot of draft coverage as we come up into it. It sounds like draft is your major way to improve this defense, but you guys got to find cap space first, right? Because you need to resign some guys. So tell me about the cap breakdown. Who's gonna be gone off the Bears next year in your estimation?
One of the issues that I had this year, well, it wasn't really an issue. We played without our linebackers, right? Because Tremaine Edmonds and Edwards, they both were hurt. And when those guys, when they went out, we found out that their backups were able to be pretty effective. They're able to fly all over the field. It wasn't Ruben Hippolyte, who we took in last year's draft, because Ryan Poles. Oh, I wish we would have kept Ian Cunningham and traded away Ryan Poles, honestly. But that's neither here nor there. But I think that we can probably let Tremaine Edmonds cut him, and that'll allow us to save $15 million. So that'll put us $10 million over the cap right there. And like I said, it'd be nice if we can kind of rotate over to more of a nickel style defense, try to draft a linebacker, you know, in one of the later rounds of the draft. Because if we're able to build up that defensive line where you can get the rush with the 4, if we can have 3 solid safeties out there, bring one down to play in the nickel, that's what Seattle did. And they have the number 1 rush defense with that scheme. It can schematically be done. I think that we have, like I said, I think we have enough safeties. I think we have good enough corners to make that work. And we've seen the Rams, they don't really invest much in linebackers, and their defense is pretty healthy. They're pretty good every year.
But the Rams and the Seahawks have 2 of the best defensive lines in the NFL.
Yes.
Like, you got a long way to go before you get there. So
But
I get the idea.
I don't see we're paying $15 million to a linebacker.
No.
So we can continue to have a middling defense.
You're definitely going to cut Tremaine Edmonds, and then when you guys sign Quay Walker for about $13 million after we let him go, you're going to be in the same spot because you have to sign those Packers runaways. But no, I'm kidding. Right. But Quay could get 13 on the open market. That sounds like what it's out there for. And, you know, I'm not saying he's going to go to the Bears, but I have this weird feeling that it might happen. No. Edmonds,
I want a thinking linebacker.
He's not that.
Yeah, he's a reactive linebacker. He's athletically gifted. He just doesn't have it up here.
Sanborn's out there. I mean, if the Packers, I would love the Packers to go get Sanborn. He was on the Bears before, right, Dave? He was there for
he was
a year and a half.
I was very cheesed off when we let him walk, and he went down, followed Eberflus down to Dallas because Flus is like, my system. He's a great linebacker. I really wish that we could try to get him back. But yeah, we don't really have too many spots where we can free up a lot of money. If you look at this, you'll see Montez Sweat. He has a $25 million cap hit, 20 million base.
Oof.
Joe Tooney, he's 33, 21 million cap hit, $16 base. And Jonah Jackson, 29 years old, 19.5 million cap hit, only 14 million base. So I think right there with those, with the base and with the cap, if we move some of that around, transition it over to a bonus or whatnot, with those three guys, I think we could probably free up another $12 million, $16 million. Because I don't think we're going to get rid of Montez Sweat, Tooney, or Jackson. I think they're going to be around for the next 3 years. And
Yeah,
even though Tooney's getting older, I don't see that being much of a risk.
Sweat doesn't save you a ton of money, $7 million, but you still pay him 18. Like with
Yep.
the state of your line, you got to keep it. He's at least a decent edge rusher.
He
right?
was the best defensive lineman you had in the postseason.
Yeah, by far.
Oh, yeah. And he wasn't worth the price tag, but still
Right.
he's better in everything else, and it's not worth
Yeah.
it, to cut him, like you said.
Yeah, it's not worth it to pay him $18 million to not play for you. So, like,
Right.
yeah. But okay, so let's talk about DJ Moore, Dave. So, as it shows here, there would be a big cap cut or hit if you cut him, but if you trade him, you guys could potentially save $16 million. Do you see that happening this offseason, him getting traded?
That's why I kind of look, and I brought up in the preseason, I said Alamadis Zacchaeus, who is a cheap wide receiver, 1.5 million, but he in the early part of the season, he was about as active as DJ Moore was. So I think that we can re-sign Zacchaeus. And I love DJ Moore. I'd love him for what he was able to do in the playoffs. He was giving it his all. You could tell that once he walked out of the blue tent in that last playoff game that he was dinged, he was concussed. He didn't talk to any reporters after the game. He immediately left. He wasn't available because they didn't want anyone to know that, yeah, he probably shouldn't have been out there. And he really wasn't on the same page with Caleb Williams. I don't think we're going to get much in exchange for him, but if we do trade him away before June 1st, then we can save $16.5 million on the cap this year.
Yeah, dude, I kind of agree with you. It's not that DJ Moore isn't a good player. It's that his connection with Caleb hasn't necessarily been the greatest the last 2 years after they gave, draft capital, obviously, to move down, but getting DJ Moore. And then that cap number is rough for a guy that's not a true number one. And,
Right.
That's no disrespect to DJ Moore, but I don't think anyone's going to pay him that money and give you like a second round pick. I think you could at best get a third, but likely a fourth just because of that cap number, right? And so maybe 2/4 or something like that. I don't know. You could get a third. It's possible.
I think maybe a fifth with a conditional third based upon how he does.
Yeah,
and
that
for
would be a
that,
good pick.
and for that, you need to look for a team that has a young quarterback who they need to develop. So it'd be either the Raiders or I think the Tennessee Titans.
Raiders, Titans, even the Dolphins, because I feel like they might cut bait this year with Baby Daddy. So because they're I feel like the Dolphins are going to do a lot of cap gymnastics this offseason and maybe take it on the chin the next year or two on some of these bad contracts they have so they can start rebuilding. I think that's why they brought in a Packers guy. So again, that might not be the best idea for them because of the cap number, but I like your shout of the Raiders. I feel like the Raiders is a good place for DJ Moore if they get a young quarterback. But if you're DJ Moore, don't you want to go to a place where you can compete? He was in Carolina when they were rebuilding. Yes, Chicago was good this year, but he was supposed to be the guy. That didn't quite work out.
Right.
I don't know. As weird as it is that he's a Bear, Dave, I don't hate DJ Moore. I respect him, and I kind of want him to go to a good place.
Oh, yeah.
And the Raiders is not a good place, even if they get the first pick.
But also, who's their head coach going to be? It's going to be Quentin Kubiak, right? And I think he's going to be a good coach. I think that they, I'm really interested to see how their number one draft pick, how he's going to turn out. I think he has a lot of tools, right?
Yeah, I like
he So I think Kubiak's a good coach. Look what he was able to do in Seattle. And I think that having DJ Moore and then having Brock Bowers, having Ashton Jeanty, I think that could be a foundation to try to build something. DJ Moore's 28.
Yeah.
But I still think, you need a little bit of leadership there. And I think a 28-year-old, I think he can kind of bring that to a young squad.
But here's another question for you, Dave. At 28, if the trade market is that low and they ultimately decide that cap number isn't enough to get rid of him, do you see a world where he's on the Bears next year as well? Like, I could see the Bears keeping him just for Caleb to have a second option, because when Odunze got hurt, you could see what Moore did. It was actually very productive, right? Once Odunze went down. And if you guys actually look at your depth chart for wide receiver after Zacchaeus, it's not great.
No.
So it would be Zacchaeus, who's still fresh and trying to figure things out. Odunze, who's coming off an injury, but it's only played 2 years in the NFL. And then what do you got? And you, like you said, you don't have a lot of cap space. You need to draft defensive guys.
Right.
So there might be a world where DJ's on this team at least for one more year.
Is Rome injury prone? Does he get injured a lot? I don't really know, but he seemed to have a little bit of that.
Well, for him, it was mainly it was a foot issue that was just kind of lingering that he tried playing with. And then at the end, when he came back, he came back a little bit too soon, unfortunately.
It wasn't like turf toe, right? Or anything like that.
No, but wide receivers and foot injuries, it seems like the consensus is always like a week or two before it should be. They're like, oh, he'll be back in 3 weeks. But like, yeah, if you're a D tackle, sure. But if you're a wide receiver and cutting is your life, like it might take a week or two for you to come back. So yeah, I wouldn't say he's injury prone, but he did sit out a few extra games. But that specific injury for wide receivers, that tends to happen. That happened to Golden as well, Doug, who had that foot injury and he was supposed to miss a game and then he missed 3 games, right?
Yeah.
So that happens.
And that's also kind of the reason why you want to make sure that you hold on to Cole Kmet. Because Kmet, before we drafted a tight end, Cole Kmet was a good receiving tight end, but he's also our best run blocker.
And he's a veteran and a leader, right? So you want to keep a guy like that. So here's a little breakdown of kind of everything you went over, Dave. Notable free agents that are out there, maybe sign a couple, some cap moves, Sweat restructure, Tooney restructure, Jackson restructure, potentially cut or trade DJ Moore, definitely cut Edmonds. I think that's a no-brainer. And then freeing up potentially up to $38 million, I think could get you guys, obviously 10 to 15 of that's going to go to rookies, but that gives you about 20 plus million to re-sign Byard, potentially get a left tackle for just this year, just to sustain. Dude, Rasheed Walker's out there. You guys could pay him 12. I could see you guys paying him 12 for 1 year or like 14 for 1 year, because I don't know if he's worth 12, but left tackles are left tackles. They get overpaid for a reason. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. He'll probably go somewhere else, but yeah, I think the Bears have enough flexibility this offseason to fix some of the broken parts of that defense, or at least make them good enough to where they still compete. So,
and I do also want to make sure that we bring back Devin Duvernay as a kick returner, punt returner. Ask any Packer fan how important that role is.
Yeah, man. What's a kick returner, Dave?
I don't know what special teams are, Dave. That's not in the NFL anymore. Okay.
What is a punt returner? We just put wide receivers out.
Can you imagine at the NFL meetings, the Packers are just like, can we just vote to eliminate special teams?
Dude, they probably would.
They try to get rid of the tush push. Now they're just like, can we just get rid of
the Packers are like, no more kickers. It's boring.
No kickers, no special teams, no running the ball. It's just 7-on-7 now.
I guarantee you the Packers would vote for that. Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, so Dave, bring us home. What's the consensus for this Bears offseason? How do you see it going? What do you hope for?
I hope that Pace does whatever Dennis Allen tells him to do. That just plain and simple. Pace hasn't. He finally has one Pro Bowler that he drafted, Brex, our right tackle. Took 3 years to be able to get it done. I believe that's more Ben Johnson than it is anything that our GM put together. But I do think get some meat in the trenches that can get some pressure. Don't focus on linebacker. It's kind of going away. Just strengthen the safeties and try to find a wide receiver or a DB number 2, because Tyreek Stevenson, he had another moment like he did against the Commanders the year before. So he's talented, but he's a moron. Try to find his replacement. We already have a great slot corner. So yeah, I think just go right down the middle. Safety, D tackle, edge rusher, and all we need is a top 12 defense, and a lot of amazing things can happen next year.
Fair enough. All right, that's the consensus. Bears off season. I'm gonna go throw up now, but thanks for joining, everybody. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one.